So the big announcement for me we're going to start with is that I've decided to take a little bit of a leap of faith and totally demonetize my uploads for April. So what this is going to mean is that the prior content that I have up, I'm not going to go back. I just do not have the time to go back through all of my past uploads and demonetize everything. But everything that I upload in the month of April is going to, if, I'm going to hit the button and I hope YouTube will abide, is not going to be monetized. Now, why am I doing this? Okay. The first thing I wanted to say is that this is a decision that I've been thinking about for quite a while. And it's something that really, I think a couple months ago became more and more a reality that I felt like I should at least experiment with. See what happens after 30 days, what changes, who goes where, how the content works. And over the course of, really, I believe that a lot of this changed after January 6th, after the riot at the Capitol. I cannot confirm that. It is just my guess because about 90 days ago was when I started to see a significant decline in subscribers, viewership, revenue. And my guess, again, I don't know for sure, is that channels who are either attracting a crowd comment section that YouTube is uncomfortable with. We all know that these government hearings continue to happen where there's a lot of pressure to remove what's considered disinformation by these lawmakers. And again, I've said in my live stream with Ryan Christian, I do wonder if these hearings are a little bit of theater and that there's more collusion behind the scenes. And maybe it's not, poor Mark Zuckerberg and poor Jack Dorsey just getting beaten by, by Amy Klobuchar, for instance, that maybe there's more going on behind the scenes and that actually they all want to control speech more. I don't know. All I know is what I'm seeing, and I'm going to show you some of my analytics so you can see. I'm going to show you some other creators. My theory is that if I demonetize my content and I say to people, hey, I'm going to go totally subscriber based for 1 month. I'm going to be on these platforms. Right now I'm on Patreon, which has its own issues. I get that. And locals. Okay. And then work on the other sites too. Somebody said I'm on Rumble. Maybe I am on Rumble, but it should tell you something about my bandwidth in my brain right now that I'm not even totally sure if I'm on Rumble, but that is definitely one of the sites. I know people that do Rockfin pretty successfully, but let's just take locals for an example, okay? And my links are in the description for how you can go there. Locals offers both a free option and a subscription option. So you can still get free content where I'm going to be uploading extra exclusives for people who go to locals and Patreon, okay? So you can see everything that I'm going to be doing if you go over to locals for free. Now, if you want to comment or you want to like or you want to send me a story idea, which I always appreciate people doing, you have to be a subscriber. I have mine set at $2 right now. If you want to support more, you can do that. You can also do that on Patreon. And my plan is to do a couple uploads a week for YouTube and then a couple exclusive on top of that, plus the live stream for these other sites. The live stream I will do on YouTube public, okay? And, I think you can still do super chats and stuff. But remember, super chats, I believe 30%, right, goes to YouTube. So that will be available to the public for anybody on YouTube while it's happening. My plan is, however, to privatize, make the live stream private. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it immediately or if I'm going to leave it up for, say, 12 hours or something like that. And then only people that are on these other sites are going to be able to see it. The reason I'm doing this is not just to see what happens with, will people go to locals? Will people go to Patreon? If there's extra content there and that, listen, I'm cutting my financial ties right now for a month with YouTube, both on principle and really because the investment is not worth the reward right now. And you either are at the point where if you're a news channel, you're going to start self-censoring, or you're going to risk that, like Ryan Christian, you're going to have 2 YouTube channels deleted and you're going to be on your third, which he's on. And I don't have the link in the description of my video of his, because you go to his website and find it. I don't want to alert YouTube to his new channel. But somebody like Ryan is a great example, because I was watching his live stream yesterday and I think he had maybe 50 some watching, and he is able to do this full time. Okay. Whereas I have a lot more people watching, but I can't do this full time. Why? Well, it's because he's figured out how to take the smaller population of people that he has to harness it, because he has a committed, even if it's just a small group of people who at this point in time, because times are hard, so there's a small group of people who can support him. They do so to keep him going. And then he can provide free content on his website. And that's ultimately the goal, is to say, okay, how can I take the small portion that I have? Because I don't want to say never, but I don't foresee my future being the Young Turks or Tim Pool or any number of these people who have like 1 million+ subscribers. I just don't know if YouTube is a viable option long term for a small creator who does news content and questions mainstream narratives, which is basically what I do. I think the writing is on the wall. And maybe 5-10 years from now, something changes. I don't know. But I don't think in the near future, it's something where wherever you sow, you reap, right? And if what I do is put most of my effort into YouTube, then that's what's going to, I'm going to reap whatever YouTube has available for harvest. Right now, it's pretty obvious that YouTube's sending the signal that we're dried out, okay? Could be because people are like, I'm not going to YouTube anymore. Maybe it's the Trump bump is over for YouTube like it is for CNN. Maybe it's YouTube is only promoting certain content. Ding, 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 ding. I think that's more of the issue. But there could be a zillion different reasons. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because if you want consistency of practice and you want, as an entrepreneur, to have security, some kind of security and consistency with showing up to your office and not finding out that your landlord has locked you out forever, then this is not the place to be, okay? At least this is not the place to be exclusively, or even the place to be to sell your goods the most. There are other sites that are better for this. And this is what I'm going to be experimenting with, to say, hey, I'm going to still be on Patreon. I'm going to be on Locals. I'm going to spend the next month working on expanding onto the other platforms. YouTube is going to get half the amount of content that I pump out. I'm taking away as much as I can of their ability to make money off of what I do on principle, but they'll figure out other ways. I worked for a big corporation for 15 years, multiple big corporations. Every single one of my contracts was written to protect the corporation and not me. And that was just the way it was, okay? That was why I always made sure my contracts in television news were short, or as short as possible. My bosses often would take offense to that. Why don't you want to sign a 3-year? And I'd say, well, because the only power I have at all is when my contract rolls over and I can renegotiate. Because during the contract terms, I have to do whatever you say. And you can fire me at any point, but I can't quit. It's like Hotel California, all right? So I know how it works with these corporations, and I was actually quite a good negotiator back in the day. I know I made more than a lot of my male colleagues because I went in and I was like, it's not personal, it's just business. So I'm trying to look at this as a business decision. I'm trying to figure out, as somebody who eventually would like to do this kind of thing full time and knows that she'd like to go harder on some of the real journalism that I look at. A lot of my stuff is like Eric Hunley said, it's like you do commentary with the standards of what you did in when you were a journalist. I don't really consider myself a pure journalist at this point. I do a lot more commentary and analysis. I give you more of my opinion. And it doesn't mean that there's not, times where I do interviews or I present content that I do consider journalism. It's just not exactly the same. It's also not necessarily at the level of research and challenging, narratives that I would like it to be. Listen, I just did this video about CNN defending Chris Cuomo. Is that the kind of stuff I want to do on a regular basis? Not really. Okay. It's my background and I know mainstream news. That's why I talk about this stuff, because I could debate pretty much anyone at this point from my former life on this issue, and I would feel like I could stand up against most people, most executives, and most reporters, journalists, whatever in mainstream news. And that's why I talk about it, because it's what I know. Do I love doing it? Not really. I've said before on the channel, I love covering the environment. The environment's a passion of mine. I'm launching a second channel, which has been in the launching period for a while. We've had a couple, tough couple of months, where I'm going to talk about our move off grid, and our Airstream renovation and all that stuff. I love doing that kind of thing. I think it's important to talk about what's happening in mainstream corporate news, and that's why I continue doing it. It's not like I just get so excited, like I feel like I'm necessarily doing, groundbreaking journalism like some of the independent journalists that I see are doing. And that's what I aspire to do at some point. So it has to become something where I can spend more time with it. In order for it to be something where I spend more time with it, it has to become financially viable. I don't believe YouTube is going to be a financially viable option down the road. It barely is right now. It definitely isn't to do full time, but it's even becoming less and less worth the effort that I'm putting into it. Okay, so let me let's go to a couple more of your questions here real fast, and then I'm going to show you some statistics, okay? Story idea: all eucalyptus trees getting cut into ugly statues in California. How California is losing its beauty because of government policies. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that. And I don't, if I remember correctly, and I would have to look this up, but I do not know what the government policies are that are causing eucalyptus trees to get cut down. But I do believe eucalyptus trees are one of my favorite trees in California when I would visit. Okay, and then so we have here, I've been a Patreon for Tim Pool, Red Elephants, etc. for years. Jason, you're selling yourself short. I don't know if you mean I'm selling myself short by getting off of, or not. I'm not totally getting off the platform, but by doing this, I disagree. I think for right now, what I'm testing out is that a small committed group of people can make a bigger difference than just casting this net to a corporation that clearly has, whether you want to call it an agenda or you want to call it political problems right now with our government, whatever, to invest full time or the most of my time into, a corporation that I really have very little control over what happens to my stuff. More and more back. Hey, listen, last year it was more worth it because I could see the numbers were benefiting what I was doing. Not a lot, but enough. Whatever happened in the last couple of months has really made me wonder, well, I'm not going to totally get off YouTube, but it's really made me wonder, what is the point, right? Okay. And I guess on some level, it is one of the biggest search engines, right? I think it's the second biggest search engine next to Google. So it's important for people. I teach this all the time. I'm pulled in for media trainings and whatnot. I tell people, get on YouTube. I think it's important. There are people like, the YouTube creators, the people who I've had, I've had the opportunity to be on their live streams who are like, how to grow a YouTube channel. Back when I did my Antifa video and I got a gazillion views until YouTube, I really believe, shadow banned it and shut it down, which you can now find. And I'm going to show you what happens though now when you click on my Antifa video. It's quite interesting. But those people who are out there like how to grow your channel, how to get more subscribers, that's great for a channel that is not doing controversial content, but I really don't believe that even if I followed all of the tips of these channels that are like, here's how to get more subscribers in 30 days, that I would be seeing the same as somebody who's, I threw 85 water balloons off of a roof. This is what happened when they hit my cactus plants. Okay, that person is going to be doing great on YouTube. Somebody like me who's like... let me tell you about the COVID vaccines and what the FDA doesn't know using their own source material. I'm not sure that's somebody that's going to be growing. Okay, so let's go here. The value question was never answered. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean that the value of going to the other sites? You'll get more content. The value of going to locals, and you can do that for free. Again, locals, you can't comment or send me a message or whatever. They have it set up so that you have to be a subscriber in order to get that content, to be able to engage. But you can still see the videos if you're on locals for free. And locals, I know, is not going to shut me down. So that's why I want everybody to go over there. and at least check out the stuff there, because A, you're going to get twice the amount of videos now, and B, you're going to be in a place where you know that I'm not going to be shut down. So that is, oh, as in the value to your work to you. Is in the value to your work. I still don't understand. Can you please clarify? Cat videos only. Okay. Yeah, No Name says you should mention many gun channels opted out of monetization long ago. Yes, actually, you are the one who sent me the email about InRange TV, right? I believe it's InRange, who I reached out to, and I heard back from them initially, and then I haven't heard back from them. I kind of wonder if they thought that I was an actual TV news reporter, even though I always say former. And so they were like, yes, we would love to come on TV and talk about this. And then when I was like, great, it's my YouTube channel. Then they were like, never mind. I don't know. But they did that, okay? And they're successful. And that was the first time that I'm like, you know, maybe there's something to this. It's both because you're saying, I'm going to go direct with subscribers, or I'm going to go direct with my community. And I'm going to trust that there are enough people out there that want to see this grow. And it's a chicken or the egg thing, right? It's like, at some point you have to pump content into where you want to see growth. Whatever that is, okay? You want to be an asparagus farmer, you got to stop growing tomatoes, right? You want to build your biceps up instead of, you know, your lower body, your thighs, or whatever else, you're a weightlifter. Stop doing leg presses and start doing bicep curls. It's like, it's not rocket science. And so it's just stupid for me, I feel like, to keep pumping the most content into a platform that is so unstable right now for people like me. Like, I don't want to wait until the curtain closes to say, oh crap, you know what, go to these other sites. And I'm just not going to have just these two sites forever. And this is just right now, I'm telling you, go there. But like, I'll be on the other platforms very soon, I promise. And then that I'll make sure to alert everybody. Again, links in the description for all of my pages for this. But yes, the gun channels have done this because they had no choice, really. They got, I mean, I guess they did, but you know, YouTube made it very clear a while ago that they were not going to be promoting or monetizing anything that discussed firearms. It didn't even matter if you were talking about firearm laws, okay? You're not even promoting firearms, you're just talking about the law. And YouTube's like, nah. And you should see the community guidelines now. It's like shocking content, dangerous content, so harmful content, controversial content. I mean, literally every one of my videos would fit one of those categories. So I always check, no, it's not that stuff, because I don't interpret it that way. But I know that if there was somebody who was real letter of the law about it, every single one of my videos fits into a community guideline strike. It just does, because it's just such a wide net now. Unless you're doing, like I said, you're dropping 65 balloons off of a roof and hitting your cactus plants and spraying your kid in the face with water or Jello or something, it's very hard to grow right now. And I'm going to prove this to you. So hang on a second. Okay. Here we go. Idea. You know how Pool covers the Hill. Why don't you follow the Wall Street Journal? They cover many stories that mainstream media ignores except them. No, I mean, I do. So I do try to cover everybody, but I, of course, don't have unlimited time. So, here we go. It's not rocket science, it's rocket surgery. That's right, Jeff. And, self-censoring is very rough. Yeah, I feel like, I think we all do it to some extent. To say that none of us ever self-censor, I get it, but it can't be a business model. All right, not unless you're somebody who is just not really interested in talking about interesting things. Like, that's just the way I look at it. If to me, it's not self-censoring for this kind of stuff I want to do is not a good business model, and I'll tell you why. Number one, it lacks integrity. Number two, if the people who are coming to your channel want you to give them more raw, insightful, challenging, insider information that's not just what they can read on some mainstream corporate news site or watch on a mainstream corporate news station, if they want something different, which is what a lot of people go to new media for, then it does not serve my business model well to just be regurgitating corporate news talking points that are safe for big tech. Okay, it doesn't, because people are gonna be like, I could go watch Fox News or I could go watch MSNBC and get these talking points. I want to hear something else, and so it's not a good business model, and it also is just, it's not a place that I want to be for integrity either. But that's it. More and more, that's what you're having to do if your business model relies on, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Not that I'm going to try to. I'm not going to just delete all my accounts. I know that there are people that's what a lot of people use, right? I just said YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. It would be totally stupid to just get off YouTube altogether. The point is, I'm going to try to drive people to these other sites. Best case scenario, there are 5% of my community on YouTube becomes a supporter, and I can do this full time. Worst case scenario, I at least have people who are backed up on another site and are there if in the event YouTube cancels my channel, and I'm not just there all of a sudden with no backup plan. So, okay. Austin, I'll start going to locals. We're supporting you. Don't have much, but I'll do what I can. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. Again, Erica Hunley and I both have locals set to $2 a month. But you can go for free to locals and get the content. I wanted to make sure that there was a free option out there because I know it's not an easy time for people. Our family struggled a lot last year. As many of you know, my husband trains law enforcement and does a lot of stuff in a world of teaching human behavior that has been in class training. And so COVID wiped all of that out, and we had to move because our landlord sold the property that we were living on. And I know people, listen, I get it. I know people are struggling. And so I wanted to make sure that if you're interested in this information, which I believe is important, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't. I want you to be able to get it for free. You can get it for free on locals. You just can't necessarily comment. Now, you can my email's in the description of my YouTube channel. So if you want to send me an email, do that. And it's pretty easy to find me. So, and you can send me messages, DMs on all the other platforms too. So there are other ways to contact me besides having to necessarily subscribe on locals. But yeah, it's like, I can understand how people say we're getting back to having a cable bill where you're supporting this person and supporting that person. And now you've got $150 of people that you're supporting all over the place. My hope is that maybe someday down the road, there are people like you have Ryan, who talked on my last live stream, Ryan Christian of The Last American Vagabond, who's launching his own platform for journalism and news specifically. Maybe that's going to happen where it's not just like a Substack where you have to subscribe to everybody independently, but maybe there are going to be journalists who eventually start to band together who are just kind of done. Now, I don't know how you protect it from just becoming another corporate option, but hopefully if you have a certain mindset governing the editorial process that you can avoid some of that. But down the road, hopefully that happens. The way that is going to begin, though, is by a fissure and a breaking from the centralized system. So it's like you're going to have to break away from the centralized system and have these people who can make it on their own, and then hopefully they're going to find each other. But they're not. But it's not going to just be like one to the next. There's going to be a little bit of time in between where we have a decentralized system where it's going to take a little bit of effort on the viewer's part to find the content that you want to support and you want to engage with. And then eventually I think it'll find its way into something that's a little bit more feasible financially and is going to take a little bit less combing through everything than people have to do right now. So, all right. Here we go. They put ads on demonetized vids if we all put aside $10 per week for $1 of 10 weekly things, but it is another bill for sure. Yeah. So they made, again, like I said, they may put ads on demonetized videos, but I noticed that they don't put very many of them. It's definitely not, again, I'm sure YouTube will figure out a way to still make money off of my content. Okay. I'm not sitting here saying like, I'm going to beat them. I'm not going to beat them in that sense. As long as I'm on their platform, I'm not going to beat them. They're still going to figure out a way to make money off of my content. But they're going to make less, and it's going to show me whether this is going to be something that down the road, a fewer amount of people is worth more than, as a long-term business plan, fewer amount of people with a consistent and good faith support on a platform that doesn't wipe you out without notice, that's a better model than just casting some wide net into the ethos of YouTube, or the atmosphere of YouTube, and just hoping that YouTube somehow promotes you to its billions of subscribers, which it's just, I don't think it's doing with my channel anyway. So I'm not really quite sure, again, why, but it doesn't appear that it's getting better. That I can say for sure. It doesn't appear it's getting better. Okay. So, let's see. I am going to, I'm going to show you some stuff here. So let's go to the web, shall we? Hang on one second. I'm going to pull up some statistics here. Okay. All right. This is what YouTube's homepage looks like when I'm incognito. What are they promoting? Principal, mechanical, horrible experiment, hydraulic versus, I don't know, something. Sunny Jazz Cafe. Student breaks nerd's eyeglasses. What happens next is shocking. That doesn't sound nice. I pooped in the swimming pool. Okay, that's the dog. Here, 60 days of their lived build water well, underground swimming pool. See, if I did the Airstream stuff only, I think I'd be doing better actually right now. TikToks that are funny, dollar store makeover. You know, Mr. Beast is still doing well. I spent 50 hours in solitary confinement. And why certain sharks went extinct. And then let's check on news, okay? Because that's especially, look, okay, this is a great example. COVID-19 news, okay? What are they promoting for COVID-19 news? Good Morning America, NBC News, ABC News, NBC Bay Area. I'm going to click on news here. So just generally. Bloomberg, CNN, Bloomberg, CBS, ABC, 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 Bloomberg, Bloomberg. Okay. I literally have not seen one independent channel on here. These are all corporate news organizations. Yeah. YouTube has turned into corporate news. It is exactly who I used to work for. So why am I going to keep pumping my content into this? I left corporate news for a reason. Okay, so I just think it's dumb. Like, this is what they're promoting. If I wanted to succeed at YouTube, I should go call my old employer and say, hire me back. Okay, because they're probably going to be doing better because they're corporate news and I'm an independent station, channel, whatever you want to call it, and I'm too risky. That's just the way I see it. I just think I'm too risky, or they're just making more money. They have contracts with these organizations. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it's pretty obvious. This is what's getting promoted. It's literally all corporate news. So what am I doing here? All right, that's the question. Now, check out what happens when you click on my Antifa video, which I will say it is nice that when you type in I covered Antifa as a TV reporter, here's what the news often leaves out, you actually find it in a Google search now. So that's good news because for a while there, you couldn't even find it. But this is what happens when you click. Sign in to confirm your age. This video may be inappropriate for some users. So you can't, I think this is an 18 plus video now. Why? I don't know. A lot of people that were under the age of 18 knew about May Day and what was going on in Seattle for years. So the stuff I have in that video is, what would happen on May Day, police throwing flashbangs and, people getting in tussles and whatnot. There's no blood. There's nobody dying, but, there's breaking stuff. And so now that's a new change. Okay. That was not there for a while. So you have to be a certain age. So, okay, so now is that going to happen on more of my content? And now I'm not trying to say that YouTube, this is their business. It's their right to do this. But it's also my business and it's my right to decide if this is the best option for me. And it just gets annoying, okay? Every step that people have to take is annoying enough for users to say, you know what, I don't want to watch this. So say that they get this sent to them by a friend or they click on it where they're not signed in and it says, you got to sign in to confirm your age. And then some people have told me not only that, they have to they haven't put their age on their account yet. So now they got to send in their driver's license and confirm it. And that could take a couple days. Do you think people are really going to do that? Are people really going to sign in and send their driver's license to YouTube and confirm their age and wait 3 days to watch my Antifa video? Probably not. And that's just one. So imagine down the road that starts to happen. More people have to confirm this about themselves. They have to confirm that about themselves. All these things. And that's just a deterrent. It's like putting, what was that? The club, right? Isn't that what you put on your steering wheel? So somebody will take, someone else's car instead of yours. That's what this is. It's like they put the club on my channel. I don't totally know what the reason is. Again, I feel like this has happened to a lot of the people I know in the last 90 days or so. I want to show you something else. Give me a second here. I gotta patch in my studio. Okay. Check this out. How crazy is this? So this was my Antifa video. This blue. Right? So you can see, and this is let's see, September 13, September 12. So it starts at September 6th and goes to September 14th. So that was exactly when I noticed that I was going from, gosh, I don't know, 10,000 new subscribers a day, 250K views a day on that one video. And then boom, Sunday night rolls around. Nothing. It's like it dropped off the face of the earth. That's when my brother said he tried Googling it and it wasn't coming up in Google search, even if you search the exact title. Then it, months later it comes back, you can search it. But now, of course, like I showed you, it's got a warning on it. So you can see, when something's going, hey, look, that's great. But check it out. I mean, these little videos, you can see these are bumps. Okay. This is when I interviewed the COVID doctor who was silenced by the FTC. And then this little bump here was ex-MSNBC producer describes Trump obsession. Okay, that video did pretty well too. But since then, it's been, look at this, 0, 0, 0. My top videos are getting 0 subscribers. Subscribers gained by video. 0. So again, not rocket science. So let's go to the chat. See what you guys have to say, shall we? And hang on a second. I gotta pull it up. I know there are folks who might think this is dumb. That's okay. That's okay if we think it's dumb, because I've been called worse. Here we go. Let's here. Let's go, Allison. Let's go. Keep an eye on Odyssey and Theta blockchain platforms. Yeah, Odyssey is another one that I've been looking forward to because Rockfin is great for limiting that. You pay 1 fee to have more access to all the creators and their pro free speech. Yeah, Rockfin is definitely something I'm looking at. I know a couple people on Rockfin, and that's another one I plan. So yeah, so one of the things about putting less content into YouTube for a month, again, seeing what happens, is that I have more time to invest in creating content on other platforms and can just see what happens. I have limited amount of time. It's just a bandwidth issue. It's not that I don't want to. It's just I have to be real about that. Odyssey too, someone else says. So yep, exactly. I guess you've peaked. Yeah, I guess so. I guess I peaked. So I and I don't know why. Again, I'm not trying to say I even know what this is, but here we go. McLean Blades, maybe 1966 Batman gets more views in political content. Why do you expect subscriptions to remain constant over time? Well, no, I mean, you expect to grow. If you're a business, you expect to grow, and it has been consistent at least for the last year. I've been on an upward swing, and at least in the last 6 months, I've been gaining a certain amount and then just went away. So it doesn't matter what the reason is. Really, it doesn't matter. What I'm experimenting with is just to say, hey, maybe I don't even need more. Maybe I don't need more. That's my real question here, is maybe I don't need to even grow in that sense. Growth, see, here's the problem with growth. It's the same issue in corporate news. If you're fixated on growth more than you are on your content, you're going to be making decisions about, okay, this is going to piss off my audience, or this is going to do really well with my audience. Not stuff that you're interested in or that you want to talk about, but stuff that's going to sell. And also, it's just a mindset of more equals better, which McDonald's is a reason I don't believe that. Okay. You all know how I feel about McDonald's and, fast food and the food industry in general when it comes to how it affects agriculture and our diets and our health. But I just feel like if you had a smaller group of people that were invested, then, and not just invested in supporting what they, the content they get from you, but also engaging in that content and having good faith conversations with each other, that's kind of the stuff I want to do anyway. I'd rather have a smaller group of people who have buy-in and have a sense about them that they're here for rational, thoughtful criticism, not just saying mean things when they don't like what you're doing. And listen, that's what I signed up for. I'm on YouTube. I get it. But maybe more isn't better in that sense. It brings a lot of crap with it. And if I grow, great. It should be a secondary thing. It should be like, if I grow because the stuff I'm doing is hitting a pulse point, wonderful. But if I don't, and I have 50 people who come back regularly, then that should be good enough too. When I first got into TV news, I used to think that I wanted to work for a big corporate morning show, which I did, because I thought bigger was better. And I didn't even know what I was getting myself into anyway, because first off, I've told you all before, I didn't study journalism, so I studied history. And I'm glad I did, frankly. I think it saved me a lot of headache, and it's given me sort of a different perspective on what's happening in the mainstream world, because I wasn't, I didn't get the same talking points in college about how you had to work for, these particular journalism outlets, or you had to do journalism a certain way. And I think that served me well. But that said, I didn't really know a lot about what was going on behind the scenes in the journalism world, because I wasn't studying that. I was studying like the French Revolution. And so when I got into news, I just came with that mentality that, you want to work for the biggest, because that's how you have the most impact. But now I don't really believe that, actually. I think actually having a small group of people with a lot of buy-in and thoughtfulness and creativity and honest criticism, self-reflection, like that to me, I like that better than a huge audience with people just, they just don't really care. And I think the small group of people affects the world anyway. It changes the world anyway. So what am I after here? Okay. Bobby says, I'm expendable. No, you're not. You're not expendable. Nadine, I so appreciate your content. You're one of a few trustworthy news sources. I appreciate that, but I will say this. One thing I really liked about having Ryan Christian on, and a couple other people I've had on have said this, and I tend to listen to people more who say, don't trust me. Go look for this and decide what you think on your own. And I like having those kinds of followers anyway. I don't want a bunch of sycophants who are just like, oh, Allison robots. They're just totally brainwashed, and they, Allison, whatever she says is amazing. Because eventually, like I'm going to say something that is coming from my own experiences, and you're like, wait a second, what? There was this guy a few months ago that was like, this really disturbed me that, you said that, I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, it was something about how that part of Trump's speech could have, riled people up and incited the riot and the Capitol, which, hey, listen, I probably should have not said incited, because that was a legal term that people were debating at the time. And I didn't mean to make it a legal thing, just mean to say like whipping up. Okay. And then I said that, and this guy was like, I'm really depressed that you said that. And I was like, I don't want anyone to have such, to have such a high value of like everything I say, that if I say something that you disagree with, you're the wind's out of your sails. I wish it would just be like, oh, Allison said this and I disagree with it, and that's it. Move on. Allison's a human being. She's doing the best she can. I'm doing the best I can. We're all doing, we're coming to the conversation hoping everybody's, trying to think through stuff that sometimes is complicated. We have different perspectives, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the different perspectives people bring to the comment section. Okay, Joe, thanks for the super chat. Michael, thanks for the super chat. And okay, Mike says, FYI, as a small content provider myself for many years, I always see a drop every spring. My guess is everyone is getting outside more and not huddled with their tablets trying to stay warm. That could be it too. Absolutely. That could be it. I'm not saying I have all of the answers. I'm just saying that, you know what, whether it's springtime and people are out, or government pressure is causing these companies to lock down more on news, or it's Trump's gone and there's less drama, and so people aren't, going to these sites as often. I don't know, but it's a good opportunity to say, let's try something different. That's the way I look at it. I'm not trying to say that I have all the answers about what's going on. And even if it is just spring, okay, it's pretty clear that something's going to be changing, and things are changing already on these platforms because of the government pressure, or colluding with the government, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty clear that there's significant changes on the horizon. I just don't see how it gets easier to produce controversial content on YouTube. I just don't see how it gets easier. They fired a USA Today editor over her tweets on the Colorado shooting. Did they? I'm gonna have to look that up. Stand by. Hang on. Well, there it is. Slap me silly. Let's take a look at that, shall we? See, this is why I appreciate you guys, because you tell me stuff I don't know. Today, USA Today editor fired for post-Colorado shooting tweet. USA Today's fired it, or USA Today, I guess this is a typo, fired its sports media group's race and inclusion editor, Himal Haveri, for tweets she made shortly after Monday's Colorado shooting. She announced it on her Medium page Friday. Firing came after a tweet now deleted she made Monday night about the shooting, when she said, "It's always an angry white man, always. I'm shocked and appalled that the race and inclusion editor at a major newspaper is, in fact, a racist." Dave Rubin. In her Medium essay, she described how the events unfolded. Okay, because then it ended up not being that. Interesting. Well, to go back to what we were originally talking about with how YouTube, like if you look at the news section of YouTube, and actually, you know what? Let's do something fun here, shall we? Let's look up Social Blade stats for NBC News. Okay, on YouTube. Maybe we'll find something that's going to surprise us. Oh, that's interesting. So check this out. This is NBC News. They have a total grade of an A, but they are down 25% for subscribers as well. However, they are gaining 10K, 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 10K. So, here you can see their monthly gained video views. So they're starting around, look at this, January 20 of 2020, they were this low. And then we get into election season, and now they're really high, and then they're really high again. This was video views for November 2020. Okay, so the election. And, they're kind of down, but they're still way up compared to where they were last year in 2019. And again, okay, so maybe you're right about the spring stuff, but they're the ones getting promoted. I just showed you that. I showed you how YouTube is only promoting, really, when you look at that homepage, they're really only promoting corporate news stations. YouTube is becoming corporate news. Period. End of discussion. I quit corporate news. Hence, what does that mean? Okay, it just means it's not boding well for me as a YouTuber for the future. Okay, surprise guest is coming up in a second. Lynn is going to be joining us for a discussion on the Suez Canal. And my friend who is a photographer, I don't know if he's still watching, but my friend who is a photographer who I used to work with back when I was a corporate news journalist. Sorry, I'm trying to find the chat so that I can bring it back up. He asked if my announcement today was that I was going to be hiring a photojournalist editor, which maybe someday I will get to announce. And I should say this, that there are quite a few people who I know that are still in corporate news who want to get out and do what I'm doing and actually would be quite interested in ah, where is my chat? I can't find it. I'm just going to go to restore and see if that works. Okay. Who would be very interested in joining some kind of new media team. And so again, it's not even just like growing for me, it's growing for an opportunity for more people to flee mainstream corporate news and do some real journalism while also being able to tell you how things work behind the scenes. I'm contacted regularly like by people who work at outlets both like CNN, former news directors for local news stations, who you know, and people who are still employed as, you know, as executives and stuff, who just aren't talking about this stuff because of their job. And I would have had a hard time doing this, though I had already sort of started it when I was working back in my last station. But I would have had a hard time because not simply because of what I was saying, but because my contract, you know, they could come after me, right? I mean, if my station could come after me for pretty much anything that I did that made them look bad. That was built into my contract. They could fire me, and you know, you could face. It's always possible that, you know, defamation or something like that. Somebody comes after you. So you know, they might even still be able to come after me now. In fact, you know, just between us kids here, a former employer of mine reached out to me not too long ago, and I never really found out exactly why he did that, because he was asking for my email and stuff, and never really got back to me. But when he first wrote me, I was like, what is he going to tell me? I have to shut up? Like, I have, you know, hey, did you know in your contract you had an NDA or something and you're not allowed to talk? I mean, I was waiting for something like that to come out, because there are all kinds of things. So there are people who are in the mainstream news setup who would be more than willing to jump ship and try to do something like this, and are just, you know, right now they're just not able to do it. So it's, yeah, like I said, it's not just me. It's that I would really like for other people to have the opportunity to do this.